Dennis-Kenji Kipker from Bremen in Germany. He is a professor of IT security law at HSB City University of Applied Sciences. Good to have you on the show. I've talked a little bit about it. I mean, with all the advances that we're seeing, especially like in new technologies like artificial intelligence, when you consider the number and the severity, the level of cyber attacks that we've gotten to at the moment, I mean, you simply can't ignore it. I mean, is a full-blown cyber warfare inevitable?
Yeah, so when it comes to cyber attacks, it is often assumed that they are invisible or cyber attacks can only affect individuals. But what this ignores, however, is the problem that cyber attacks can also attack critical infrastructure, government institutions, and households in very large numbers. And the best example here are energy supply, telecommunications, hospitals, bank, and administrative institutions. And this can completely paralyze public life on one hand, and on the other hand, also cause considerable economic damage. And civilian casualties may also result, for example, if any urgently needed treatment in hospital can no longer be carried out. And the examples from Ukraine a few years ago show that an attack on critical infrastructure can have existential consequences for the population within, for example, when no power supply is there for hours in winter. And in addition, cyberwar can not only cause immediate damage in large numbers, but also lead to political destabilization of states, for example, and their population. And this issue must therefore not be neglected in any way. And the danger of cyberwar today that we face is higher than ever before.
Besides the political ramifications, you mentioned it. I mean, it is estimated that cybercrime will cost companies and governments around the world more than $10 trillion every year. I mean, this is quite a chunk of GDP, even for developed countries.
Yes, definitely. So the problem that we face also there is that we have many undefined legal terms, so legal questions which are not really clear. For example, when it comes to the definition of cyber war, and there we have a distinction that must have been made. So for example, between mere espionage by digital means, for example, only collecting or obtaining information, or attacking really critical infrastructure. And when it comes to the legal question, we have tort law questions on one hand, but on the other hand, we have the idea or the question of when a certain cyber attack crosses the threshold for an armed attack. And this consequently means that the effects of cyber war must be comparable to those threatened when a state's territory, for example, is attacked with conventional weapons. And in this case, however, states are entitled under international law to have a right of self-defense, which under certain circumstances can go as so far as not only to repel an active cyber attack from a foreign actor, but even to carry out a digital counter-strike to destroy the IT infrastructure of the attacking state. And there are currently many European states and also in the United States and China where authorities are trying to get more powers to fight against cybercrime. And as mentioned before, the European Union is also working currently on a corresponding strategy to actively tackle this important topic.
When you and I were beginning our conversation, you said that people had the misconception of generally categorizing cyber attacks as just only being invisible. I mean, just because cyber attacks don't cause major human casualties or destruction, do you feel that we have a tendency to perhaps treat these types of attacks in a less critical way?
Yes, in the recent years, many companies were thinking cyber attacks were just some kind of compliance issue, some kind of privacy issue. And there had been also many managers saying, well, our company will never be affected by a cyber attack. But today we face a situation that cyber attacks occur everywhere, as you have mentioned before, and that many companies are already affected or have been affected. And this has caused, of course, sometimes jobs. This has really had financial implications for many companies. And this is why there are more and more regulators trying to tackle this topic for compliance, for example, with compliance measures for companies not only working in critical infrastructures, but also in everyday services. And this is why companies should pay more attention than ever before on this cybersecurity issue.
Dennis-Kenji Kipker, great to have you on the show. Thank you very much for that.